Hello everyone. We've got really interesting energies going on again, like that's most of the time this year. It's really tricky to navigate, so I decided to do another update. We are in a very powerful eclipse season this year. I don't know how many eclipses we have, but we already had a half eclipse a while ago. And now I think we are in the Mercury Retrograde. I was checking a little bit astrology, but I am not the type of person who is gonna use the terms from astrology, because if you say somebody, oh, we have a Mercury Retrograde, nobody knows really what it means. So, and there is a lot of changes what are happening inside of the body right now, like on the cellular level, like so your nervous system got upgraded. We are being constantly sort of directed to live a little bit cleaner, eating different type of foods, more like high vibrational, because the earth is holding a high vibration. So obviously we have to adjust our diets and our lifestyle according to that frequency. Unfortunately, we don't have any other option than to just go with earth. Earth is doing it. Oh, Larry is coming to say hello. Look at the look he's giving me. Look at the look he's giving me. Oh, give me the cuddles. Give me the cuddles. So I was checking a little bit of astrology, and the energies are very interesting. We've got the lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, and the full moon together. So the energies are quite, I don't want to say intense. I think that would be very individual. That would depend as well on where you at and the frequency in your body. What's your original blueprint or frequency you came in with, how much work you have done on yourself. And when I'm always saying how much work you have done on yourself, some people would say there is nothing you have to do on yourself. Well, but that you have to arrive into that point that there is nothing to do on yourself when you are aware. Your awareness is gonna give you this kind of how I can say it. Only your awareness gets you into that point that you know that there is actually nothing you have to be doing on yourself. But your body accumulated certain things during your lifespan, or like, and let's say I am 44. I grew up in a quite like heavy environment emotionally, because my mother was quite young and my father left, and they were living in a 3-storage house. So there were another families living, like they are all family. So I was dealing with a lot of family members, and they all have a different type of relationships together, and there is a lot of like manipulation, a lot of restriction, a lot of abandonment, a lot of suppression. There's like, I was looking on the emotional wheel, and I have all the emotions, all of the negative emotions are stuck in my body. So I am clearing a lot for the collective in general. So for me, it's quite easy to know what I'm going through, or what collective is as well going for. This is how I as well read the energy, because I'm reading myself. I've got so much stuck emotions in the body, because they get stuck in the body if they are not processed. And because I went through a lack of nurturing as a child, so I've got a big baggage to purge. So when something is showing up in the collective, I am usually feeling it in the body as a stuck emotion. Is really like causing me a pain. And now we are dealing with a root chakra mostly. Of course, with the heart chakra as well, with the throat chakra recently, like past 2 days, if you release a lot of anger towards your parents, actually is what I would like to talk about today, is like anger towards parents, because like this is something, I was doing little research on it, And like from the psychological view, like most of the therapists are actually dealing with this one. And this is like a number one issue the people have. And the number one thing what all the therapists are dealing with is anger towards parents. That's what we are purging right now. You might be purging it for months. I am purging it for quite some time. I started to be extremely angry because I started to be triggered by certain people who were making certain statements about me. And I was like, do I believe this? Or is it something that was programmed in me? Do I really believe this statement? Like, I give you an example, like, but how you can have a look on it as well, because I'm sure a lot of you were suppressed as a children, because we all were, you know, like the time was very different. Our parents were unconscious. And as well, we chose these experiences for the reason, let's say I had to incarnate it in this type of like environment for a reason that I could give you all this information. But I need to get through it. The same like any therapist. Therapists who didn't went through lack of nurturing will never be able to help you properly. So I had to go through all of the emotional wheel to understand actually where the emotions get stuck in the body, how the people can like approach them, or how they can, I don't want to say get rid of them. Usually you have to, the pain will go away the moment you bring a certain awareness to that aspect, or to that emotion. You find it in the body, you bring it to your conscious mind out of the unconscious. You kind of find the stories behind it, or the issues, or certain like events in your life that happened to you, and then you can put it all together. And I've got, because my analytical mind is such, so I can sort of like see the bigger spectrum of how it's playing out in the families. How is it hindering your like energy field? You know, on the other hand, you can always see it in your aura and in your like energy field. It's there. You know, when I see a person, I see their traumas a lot, but I as well see their unfulfilled potential. Most of the time, I see the potential most of the time. So my experiences with people are usually nice, because I'm always like bringing out that unfulfilled potential, because I see it in them. But the problem is that triggers as well a lot of the wounds, trauma, a lot of the stuff is coming to the surface. Unfortunately, without even having the intention, when I am dealing with the people, I am usually bringing the trauma, and the wounds will not really stay hidden in my presence. And I think it's also because I am approaching it with this kind of a, I don't know if it's a healthy way or not healthy way, or my way. The way I am approaching this is I don't have any attachments to this. Okay, we are all wounded. We are all having a trauma. We all have stuck emotions in the body. We all have like all sort of shit what we carry. And like I don't have any shame around it. And I found it very normal to talking about these things. Even with my mother, I started to talk with her about that. And like the people get offended. The people get offended often that I am like a sort of seeing things which I should not be seeing. And I mean like, but this is just a human experience. We all have this shit. So why we have to like hide it or bypass it or not be willing to look on it? For me, it's very natural to just like say, well, like this is, or you've got like a wrist broken, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's a father figure, you know, or this is not, you're not trying to let go of something. For me, it's like that. Is I don't have the problem to talk about these things, and I know that the people get really like annoyed by me because I am talking about these things. But unfortunately, it is the way it is, and we came here to deal with this. We didn't came here to just like, we all know joy and love and all this stuff, but what we are doing, we are looking on our shadow. And that's where we have to work. I mean, that's well, work. You don't really have to work on it. All you have to do is just bring it to your conscious awareness. The pain will go away. Of course, it has a lot of layers. Anyway, so the anger towards parents, it's a big, big theme. It is definitely shaking up the collective right now because there is a lot of hate and rage and irritability and frustration. People are moving. Even like during the pandemic, a lot of things happened, like, in the families. People were refused, pushed away because of like you've got the V or you don't get the V, and like there is a lot of like lot of mess. There's a lot of going on. So a lot of these traumas, the trauma bonds between the parents and the children came out. If you are on top of that a parent, you had a hard time. I'm a parent as well. So on top of whatever I went through, I'm having again one of the most hardest experience. I would say that parents who are awake are having a quite challenging time, and I think they took one of the biggest lessons, and they purging for the whole collective one of the biggest chunk, because with your children your own trauma will come online, so you will have to face it. Everything will start to be very visible. You will be seeing and re-experiencing everything what you went through during your childhood, or even if you are taking care of the children or being in the presence of the children. Lot of your own stuff will come online and will become way clearer to you, how you were programmed or how you were raised, like where is your trauma, where are your wounds. So this is the one thing what we are dealing with is right now is the anger toward parents. And anger is a very interesting like a beast, because it is, I heard somebody saying that anger is covered fear, but there is also sadness in it. Because like when you have a look on the emotional wheel, and it's like you can imagine that a lot of the emotions are on the surface, and I call them the illusions. Most of the people have these three core negative emotions: anger, sadness, and fear. They are on the outer wheel. Underneath that, there are a lot of our like illusions. There are all sort of like a different kind of like emotions which are linked to either to the fear or either to the sadness or either to the anger. But all these three emotions are still kind of like working in the tandem. So when there is an anger, there is as well sadness. When there is a fear, there is as well anger and the sadness. There is always these three together, and one of them is stronger in each person. Underneath all these little emotions that are around, like resentment, frustration, irritability, anxiety, underneath all of that is a trauma anyway. And underneath the trauma is lack. Every single thing actually ends in lack. Lack of love, lack of nurturing, lack of bravery, like, fear, lack of stability. It's always lack. So practically you always deal with the lack. You don't deal with anything else but lack. So fear and anger and sadness going all together. Because if you are having anger towards your parents, there is a lot of stuff going with it. There is as well sarcasm. There are addictions. There could be a fear, let's say fear of becoming a parent. After, let's say for me, I had a fear of becoming a parent for sure. And even though I became a parent, that was very unconscious of me. I am absolutely aware of it, why I became a parent. I find out the road, why I really became a parent. I became a parent to actually get closer to my own mother. That's a one layer of it, which didn't work out because she brainwashed me on, like the society brainwashed you. Okay, when you are, 35, you should have a kids because later you cannot have a kids and blah, blah, blah. Or your parent could brainwash you on, I want to be a grandparent, you should have a kid. That was my mother. She was constantly pushing me to get pregnant, and there was our conversations in the house were we constantly clashed on this, until one time that I think I was really lost in life back then, and I became a parent, or I became pregnant very like a stupid way. It was one night stand, and like it was not planned, and I didn't even know I'm pregnant for a very long time because I'm skinny. So for me, not having a period is very common. So I didn't really know that I'm pregnant for a very long time. And then, of course, I'm the type of person who would go abortion or something like that. I would not be able to face myself. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with it. It is what it is. And but I cried for about 3 days because I knew that my life is messed, and because becoming a parent, I'm sure I had a massive fear around it there, because coming from a lack of nurturing and having such a complicated family setting, what I have never felt safe there. There was a lot of abuse, like emotional abuse, suppressed like emotions, suppressed authenticity. I was being constantly, like molded, and being told that like my mother was extremely critical, so she was constantly criticizing me, that I'm like my father. And here comes as well the statement, what I was saying, to check out on the statements, what the people are saying to you right now, and how that triggers you, because that is coming with the suppressed authenticity. And here comes the anger towards parents, because practically my partner started being like, oh, you are like your father, and you are like my brother. And I was like, how this fucking happened? Like, how I could possibly like his brother? And then he was like, well, you are like your mother anyway, and you will never have any money. And then stuff like that, like, and I was like, wow, like, what the fuck is this? And I started noticing that I heard those sentences. I heard those sentences in the past. My mother was always saying that I am like my father, and my father was always saying that I am like my mother. And my mother was always telling me that I will never have any money if I will be an artist. And then here comes the spirituality, like, oh, it's very good to be spiritual, but like you will never have any money. Like this kind of limiting beliefs about how the people are constantly pushing at you. So pay attention right now, because this eclipse season is really good. We are in the Mercury Retrograde, it's practically a time, all May, until the end of the May, where we are in these repeated cycles, where we are kind of facing these any type of people, like your sisters, brothers, whatever, siblings, family members, friends, even friends. It could be anyone who is gonna have these like statements about you, that you are like this and you are like that. You might hear, who the fuck you think you are, like telling me all these things, and you're not qualified, and you don't know nothing about, like, you're not a psychologist, or you're not a therapist, and I think you're full of bullshit. And pay attention to all these like assault from the other people, because the energies are such that the people are really angry, and there is a big rage actually right now, and a lot of people are frustrated, because a lot of things changed even in their work, and the anger is lashing out like in both directions. So it could be like you get triggered and you lashed out, like you can say, oh, where did you fucking get it, and you're just gonna be like me. I would like, whoa, and then like I just like got straight, like I was like, where did you get it? I was like, who told you that? That's a suppression. Like, I mean, you telling me stuff, that's your belief, not mine. And then I started like looking as well on my belief system. So practically all these like a childhood programming and all this suppression from the past is coming online. So maybe your brother would say, oh, you are naive, or your mother was telling you all your life that you are naive. So that made your self-esteem really bad. You know, even like there are these statements that people use about the other people, oh, she is like that, or he is like this. Pay attention to this, because that's these kind of a statements smell, as I say, it smell. Because like, do you really believe that? And if you really believe that, like, then that's a limiting belief. It's actually programmed. You are programmed, and this kind of a program is really rooted in you. It's a heavy programming, especially if you're coming like from the countries, like, let's say I'm from Czech Republic, and we have been oppressed like for centuries, like, you know. So the oppression, like, our parents were like that, their parents as well. So this kind of like a push and oppression or suppression of the authenticity was there all the time. I remember I heard that many times, and I chose a partner. We are together for many years, but the relationship doesn't really work. It's like kind of getting flat. But it's really interesting to witnessing this, because I noticed that we both chose each other for a very specific reason. One, like I can see my parents' stuff in him so much. He reflects in me really all the programming what my parents did on me. Also, like these statements that he use often to me is like, why you cannot be normal like the other women? And I'm like, what? Well, you know, it's phenomenal, like what people consider, and I'm like, what's normal? There is no such a thing like normal. And or like people can use, yeah, but I want my kids to have a normal life. And I'm like, what normal life? You mean the toxic life we have so far? Well, I want my kids to having a better life. You will find yourself in the situations when you're gonna be like not agreeing with the people, but it will be only because you will be seeing the programming. The programming is so heavy, like, you know, it's really rooted in our being. So pay attention to all of these, because a lot of relationships are breaking apart, changing, no matter how much you want to keep it or are in the comfort, like, you know, you be challenged like crazy. And the way you deal with the anger is that you just understand it. Like, you know, the best thing how to deal with the anger towards parents, no matter what they did to you. Of course, there are certain things that are unforgivable, like abuse or torture. That's really unforgivable. I would say that even Teal, I heard Teal talking about how she was able to get in terms with the abuse and the torture she went through, that she started to understanding the torture of the person who tortured her, and her heart opened up a little bit more. So I understand that there are things that in our lives or in many of your lives that we cannot forgive, but we can get in terms with it based on, I would say, acceptance. For me, the acceptance is really the closest to the forgiveness, because once you accept it and you understand that also those people have their own journeys, and most of the time you have a contract with the person to have certain like lessons together, or like having some experience in here. So understanding that you incarnated to that family setting and you went through all these challenges for a reason, that these challenges actually brought you to where you are right now, and you could be a great counselor. Most of the people who had a really tough like lessons and go through a lot are actually doing the counseling. They are great therapists. They are because they have the experience. It's not just about reading in the books. You have to experience it. You came here to experience. And maybe next lifetime it's gonna be easier, you know, there's gonna be less hardship, but it is what it is. And once you understand that actually you chose those experiences for a reason, it's way easier to be in the peace with it. I found this like one of the most profound tools to really knowing that I chose those experiences. I chose even this relationship because I can see that he chose me for his trauma bond with his mother. But we are not giving each other what we expected from each other that we're gonna get. That we could learn those lessons. That practically all we are searching for is actually here. So even the lack of nurturing, or lack of financial support, or I don't know, whatever, lack of emotional support, you have to first support yourself by yourself, emotionally, financially. You have to nurture yourself. I think there are great lessons in all of that hardship, even when it's really scary. There is a lot of fear as well now going on. So fear is shaking us as well. So we've got anger, fear, and sadness, kind of creating this like a mixture, like this type of a meal, what you used to eat quite a lot. So now you're gonna be looking on those ingredients. Another thing what is happening, what you might be noticing, is that there is a two of you. There is the old version of you and there is a new version of you, and they are kind of overlapping each other. I'm not sure if you can feel it, but I feel it for quite some time. I was telling that to one of my friends, that I have this feeling that there is another me walking with me. When you start doing the work on yourself, you release a lot of trauma, you are in peace, you are more and more in peace with your journey, and you really release it from the cells, because that type of memory is stored in the cells. What starts happening with you is that there will be another version of you. And if you can imagine it in the quantum field, how it looks, it's like two of you there. And you are constantly flickering very fast. You are flickering and fluctuating between two of these versions until it becomes so potent that the new version becomes so potent that it go like a pam, and you just shift. That's how shift happens, if like energetically. So you can have a look on it, because we are all in the different stages. Most of the people who are on the start of their spiritual journey, they are still, let's say, and they are meditating and using all sorts of practices. They are still bathing in those heights. But what's gonna happen? What is usually happening, because we are not in the closed environment, and we are not in ashrams, and we are not in we are still interacting with our world. There is a normal jobs, family, kids, we've got tons of all sort of realities going on. So what is happening is that what's gonna happen, you're gonna get a smack, and you will not be able to do your yogic practices, let's say, or your meditation. You will hurt yourself physically, that you have to have a look on your shit. So that happened to me many times. I remember that my first year on the spiritual journey I was so high, I was just so cool, constantly being blissed out. But then I got a smack, this year especially. So I had to start dealing with the lower chakras, because most of the people wants to go up in here. They are usually they could be even here most of the time in the low and the highest chakras, if they have them open. A lot of them could be a lot of spiritual ego as well. But past 2 years, 3 years, we were dealing with the 3 lower chakras, and past year and a half we are dealing definitely with root chakra, because there is a lack of safety right now, family and safety. There's that's actually not in the root chakra, that's actually in the heels of your feet. I feel the chakras spinning, and I feel how they are releasing certain emotions. When whatever is going on in the collective, I start having these releases in my body, but I feel it physically. I feel the chakras spinning. So it's very interesting how the emotions are stuck in the body, and most of the people have them all stuck in the lower part of the body. So if you did release a lot of the anger towards parents, you will feel lighter. straight. You will have a little break, but you will go back to facing most likely a sadness and a fear, which is going with it, or the luck, or all sort of like a things like which is underneath it. Because you have to find the traumatic events. When you get in terms with that, things will get better and better. So that was a couple of things which are happening right now. Oh yeah, and we are doing this for a very specific reason, because we have been asked to, I mean, we are a little bit on the pause because a lot of us are like even changing the jobs or expanding your career or moving in a little bit of different direction or moving deeper into the mission work. But we are on the pause because we need to actually get in terms with these type of things which we still didn't see, which are crucial on our, which are like a important components to your actually work. That what you have to see. Let's say you've got you plan some retreat, right? I got a friend who has a planned retreats, but she doesn't feel it in her heart. She feels that place, what they chose for the retreat, it's not resonating with her. But she's going against her heart and she's still committing to do that. And no matter what, if she does it or not, there is always a lesson, like there is always like a valuable lesson, even if you fail. But because this is happening actually for her to see that she is getting okay with less than, instead of saying, no, look, if you're not gonna find a better place, thank you for the opportunity or for the offer, but I will join you when you're gonna have like a place where is a better kitchen that I can teach the people about the food and nutrition. There is a load of like a things what we are right now looking at in our like energy field. Everybody is somewhere else. I was dealing with anger. You might be dealing with like being able to say no, or standing for like your higher values, because it's all about the values. We are like looking on what we value, what the other people value, the compatibility, the dissonance, that non-compatibility. This is what we are kind of dealing right now in the Mercury Retrograde, which is until the end of the month. It is coming 3 times a year in this repeated cycle. It's usually all about the dissonance and values, but everybody has it a little bit different. It depends where you at on your journey. So check out the anger, do some research about it, because anger towards parents is really number one case in the therapeutic field. And even in Kundalini Yoga, you've got a fists of anger, which are exactly the practice for releasing the anger, especially the one towards parents, because we all have anger towards parents, all of us. I would say like 99.9% of the people on the planet. Probably everyone. Even those people who have like a good, you might say, yeah, but I had a good childhood. Well, have a look on it anyway, because like if you have addiction, let's say, it might be that your parents have certain expectations from you and were pushing you into a certain direction, which you actually internally didn't want it to go into. So, there could be a load of hidden things, even if you are coming from a good even if you had a good childhood. Having a good childhood doesn't mean that you didn't felt some of this crap, what we're going through. That's a root chakra, and the suppressed authenticity is going with it. My authenticity was suppressed like crazy when I was little. My mother didn't wanted me to be an artist. So I had a big problem to forgive her this, that she didn't wanted me to be an artist. But then when I understood why she didn't want me to be an artist, I dropped the anger. I mean, I understood it, but it doesn't mean that I forgave her, because I would never do that to my daughter. But On the other hand, she's unconscious, so she's not conscious about it. She was doing it unconsciously because she thought that it's best from her point of view. What she thought, what is good for me, that was valid, like for her point of view, but not from mine. So there is a lot of things what we're gonna be constantly looking at right now. So pay attention, guys, don't fall asleep. And one more thing, we got upgraded, so take your time to a little bit adjust, because you might be really feeling the other version. You know, if you are raising your vibration, you have a different type of diet, you're doing raising your vibration is another myth about it. Your vibration raised naturally when you release the trauma and are okay with all the past and the bond and the wounds, and you get rid of the karma, you know, or you more working on your dharma. So your frequency will raise naturally, all right? On the other hand, because you are electromagnetic and biochemical, just lying down and doing a healing will not help you. You have to do something with your cells. That means you have to program your cells, so you have to use sound. That's why in yoga, they use sound healing, you know. All the mantras, or what you chant, they are actually programming your cells. That's why yoga is so powerful, the traditional yoga. That's why I'm giving everyone, if you go to my YouTube channel, I've got there a folder which calls a powerful yogic practices, and I put there the most amazing yogic practices I came across and I tried on myself. There is one for the nervous system, which you're doing when you are moving your body and you're doing it is resonating in here. And the moment, always when you move, it is like all your system, practically just all your cells get like rid of all the stuff. It's phenomenal. It's from Akanda Yoga. I'm using a lot of his stuff, like a lot of breath work, because there is like, you can detoxify all the body, all your organs, all your liver and kidneys and the heart. You know, all these yogic practices are phenomenal, like, you know, for that reason. You cannot just go Reiki healing and lie down on the table and let someone like pour like on you some frequency. That's not gonna help you. You have to do it yourself. You have to do the stuff by yourself as well. You know, like these healing techniques are great, like they are really good temporary. Also, if you are setting intentions, if you're setting intention that you want to cut the cords, okay, that's cool, that's really cute, but when you go back to your life, you get rewired again. You have to understand it, you have to, using certain technology, if I can say, it is like, it's a science as well, like, you know, yogic science, it's a technology that I can say. It's a sound, because you are light and a sound, so you have to use both. You know, you can lie down and like call your guides and tell, or download the light from the source to flood your system, and you will get really nice release and relief from the pain. You will feel rejuvenated. You will feel amazing. But you still have to use a sound as well to program the cells. You still have to do something with the system. You cannot just go to healers. You have to do the work on yourself as well. Looking on your trauma, releasing the stuff, getting in terms with it. All of this will contribute into how you raise your frequency, because as well, food is going with it. No matter what, the ascension or this evolution is physical. You are changing your DNA. The DNA, it's just light codes, but you still need a sound, because you need to still reprogram your cells. The cells need to release. They are constantly releasing and puking out the emotional stuff, the density. All of this is being released every time we've got a higher frequency coming to the earth plane from the 5D gamma light. That's what's happening. Your cells get bombarded with this frequency, which has a tiny little sound which you cannot hear. I can hear the frequency in my ears, how it changes. So I know when it's up and down, but I can feel it in my body. but because I did a lot of yoga on myself as well, so I become like a part of the all. So I'm part of the nature. I feel when the sun is rising up and when the sun is going down, when there are the planetary stuff, I feel it in the body. It's like you are, it's like there is nothing outside of you. You are all of it. It's like you are part of the whole. When you are really in sync with the world or with everything around you, you are part of it. It is all you. You understand that it is you. That means you can read it. Wow, just that. It's a spiritual Tuesday or something. Today is a Tuesday. Yeah, be good. My battery is low, I can say. So I will have to go and rest if you need to. Salty baths, walk in nature. Nature will balance your energy field. So if you have a really hard time energetically, it's because your body is catching up with the energies. The body needs to adjust itself. It needs to get used to the new frequency. We are still fluctuating, so we're not holding 20 hertz constantly, but it's there. It's still there, 20 and 30 hertz, it's there in the background, so you get access to it, but you are still constantly fluctuating up and down. It depends how much you contaminate as well your vessel. I've got a couple of tools which are phenomenal. If you have a muscle spasms, there is a practice I use sometimes in the night. I have a muscle spasms. I know that the system is not like the little meridian system or the nadis in yoga is that kind of, I think it's a lymphatic system, I'm not sure. It's sometimes clogged and I get a muscle spasms. There is a brilliant practice which is alternative nostril breathing. Have a look on it. It's called Nadi Shuddhi. I think it's a yoga for peace. You find it in my powerful yogic practices, and that practice will help you to actually open up all that channel so you don't have a muscle spasms, so you will not have any like clogged, that the system is actually open to move the energy through. Of course, the best way is when your chakras are aligned and you can move it through the center channel, but most of the people don't have the chakras aligned. So they have, there is always a pain in the body. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'm posting a lot on the Instagram. I'm limited by the time, but I'm kind of getting better with this. So if you need me, you know where to find me. If you need a reading, if you need to deconstruct certain emotion or whatever is going on in your life, and you need help with it, you need some sort of consultation, counseling, you can always drop me a line on Instagram and we can connect somehow. I'm open to that. I'm on the spiritual journey for quite some time, so I got plenty of experiences with that. Okay, be good. I love you. Have a great eclipse. Take it easy. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't take this stuff so seriously as well, it's just a human experience, who cares? It's a blast. Have a blast. People are taking the stuff so seriously. I am getting milder and milder, but I was taking the stuff seriously as well. Just don't take it seriously. Just get curious about it. Okay, be good. I love you. I'm sending you a load of a positive stuff, and I see you next time.